Jerry Jones is old and senile. He now says that the Cowboys were going to draft Jalen Hurts. And meanwhile, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles were back at practice, and the Eagles still have 17 cuts left to go. And I'm thinking this, Howie Roseman, it isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when he makes a trade. Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well, be hanging in there. So the Eagles were back at practice, and one guy who returned was Hassan Reddick, working out with the team today, going through drills. He will be ready to go as week one begins, and the Eagles are making cuts. We've had a bunch of cuts. We're going to go over 17 more moves to go, yet I know Howie Roseman has something brewing. He has something up his sleeve. It's just a matter of what it is. Now, before we get into it, if you're new to the channel and you like the content, make sure you hit that like button. More importantly, make sure you subscribe to the most censored, the most throttled, pause, Eagles content creator in all of the internet. And if you've been subscribed for a while, I just want to thank you so much for all the support you give to me. It truly means a lot from the bottom of my heart. It really does. Now, before we get into the Eagles talk, I got to show you guys something I think is absolutely hysterical. But it's actually something that proves a point that I have been making about the Dallas Cowboys all off season. And to me, this just confirms what I thought. The Dallas Cowboys want to be like the Philadelphia Eagles. They are literally trying to copy everything we do. And this statement by Jerry Jones, who it's his birthday today. He is 3,568 years old. Happy birthday, Jerry Jones, on turning 3,569 years old. I know it's hard to be 3,570 years old, but Jerry Jones made this comment about wanting to get Jalen Hurts. And to me, Cowboys, you have been exposed.
Had we been able to draft him in next year's four, the kind of talent he was in this draft, like I just told you 2 years ago, we were looking at the Philadelphia quarterback, I'm not going to call any names, but looking at him. Had he fallen to us there, we would have drafted him. It is our plan when we can, but it very seldom happens to have someone of a high enough quality to be there at the right place with our draft pick. This one worked, and so we're excited about it.
Okay, so you see that? Jerry Jones, they were going to draft Jalen Hurts, but the Eagles took him right before they could do it. I don't buy it. I don't believe it for one instant. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't buy it. I think what Jerry Jones is looking at is he's looking at the Eagles, and he is trying to duplicate exactly what they did. Look how they go out. We got James Bradbury. They had to go out, and they had to get a corner. They had to go out and get a receiver like Brandon Cooks, although he's no A.J. Brown. Like, the Cowboys literally want to be like the Philadelphia Eagles. They are trying to be like the Eagles. Why do you think they paid for a fourth-round pick for Trey Lance? Because they look at him and hope he could be the next Jalen Hurts. The Dallas Cowboys are really, like, legitimately copying the Philadelphia Eagles, like almost like move for move at this point. The Eagles go out, they draft Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. What do the Cowboys do? They want to go out and get a defensive tackle. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up anymore. It's so true. And the Trey Lance move was because the Eagles got Jalen Hurts. And now, Jerry Jones, there was another statement he said earlier too, where he's like, well, if it wouldn't have worked out for Jalen Hurts, we would have probably traded Philly for him. Like the Eagles were going to trade you Jalen Hurts. Come on. This dude is old, 3,571 years old, and he's senile. He's senile. But it is quite apparent to me that if you look at the Cowboys' all-season moves, you look what the Eagles have done, they're almost mirroring. They copy pretty much every move we make. It's just the reality of the situation. I can't help it. It's the reality. I think it's absolutely hilarious. It's hilarious. I don't buy Jerry Jones. They were going to draft Jalen Hurts, or they would have traded for Jalen Hurts for one instant. He got pissed off because the Eagles one-upped him again, and now he's going out and getting Trey Lance, trying to do exactly what the Eagles have done. They want to be like the Eagles. Future Eagle Micah Parsons wants to play for the Eagles. It's just the way it is. So I think that's absolutely hysterical. Now, as far as the Eagles go, the greatest franchise in the history of sports, I want to go over some of the guys that have, I'll go over all the names that have been cut to this point. There are more cuts coming. I'm sure there'll be coming some today, and we'll probably review it with another video later on if we get time, if there's a lot of moves. But here's who they've released so far. Quentin Bell, Ian Book, Kennedy Brooks, Robert Cooper. Who the hell's Robert Cooper? Jason Hazelwood, stunk. Johnny King, Deion Kane, Tyreek Maddox Williams, Alo Spagnuolo, Caleb Saunders, Freddie Swain, Marvin Wilson, Tyree Jackson, Dan Arnold, Tyree Robinson, Dennis Kelly, Brent Toth, Josh Andrews, and Cameron Tom. These are all the players the Eagles have released at this point. Now, there are still 17 moves left to go. So we're going to see a lot of these guys go. Now, they were practicing today. There was a couple guys that returned to practice. Ojomo was at practice. Trey Sermon was at practice. Britton Covey was back at practice. These guys were back at practice, and really, based upon who they've cut already, I don't think there's any surprises here. The only surprise I have a little bit is they cut Deion Kane quicker than I thought they would, and I think they're trying to do him a favor, or they're trying to get him through waivers. Sometimes you try to get a guy cut early, and I think with Tyree Jackson and Deion Kane, this could be the case where they release him early, try to get him to clear waivers now, and then hope to bring him back, both of those guys back on the practice squad. I hope they both come back to the practice squad. But none of these moves to me have been surprising at all yet. But it's going to get harder, and there are guys that I'm worried about. I don't know what's going to happen with Devon Allen. I have a bad feeling he's going to wind up getting cut. Hopefully he'll clear waivers and come back. I do not feel comfortable with the punting situation at this point in time and the kick returner. I feel like Devon Allen really earned a spot. Like, I feel like he's your best kick returner right now. And I also feel like he may be one of your better special team gunners. The way he can get down the field. Like, he literally outruns supposed kicks. So I hope he stays. But there's a lot of good players on this team, especially if you look at the defensive backs. What are they going to do with Goodrich? What are they going to do with Garner? If Eli Ricks doesn't make this team, I'm going to revolt. So now I'll say this about the 53-man roster. A lot of times at the deadline, what you'll see is a 53-man roster that looks whacked out. It may have like 8, 9 defensive backs, or it may have like 6 running backs or 5 running backs. Like, it'll just be off. And, I feel bad sometimes for some of these players because they get comfortable and then they realize that, this roster isn't done. They may have it a certain way, so you get to the 53-man roster deadline, then you could put some guys on IR, stash them away. So it's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that this 53-man roster come out with way too many defensive backs because they want to keep those guys, and then they'll look to make moves, maybe make a trade here or there, maybe put a guy on IR. But I think what you get at the deadline for the 53-man roster and week 1 are not going to be the same thing. And I expect Howie Roseman to make a move. And no, I don't think it's going to be Jonathan Taylor, although I still remain to say that that's a possibility. What I think the most likely scenario for the Eagles is trying to go out and get another safety. I've been thinking about the safety situation, last few days, and I've been thinking about how these guys were treated in terms of the way they played in the final preseason game. If you think about it, Reed Blankenship didn't see the field. He's a complete lock. At the linebacker spot, Cunningham and Dean did not see the field. Okay, so the players that are surefire starters did not see the field. However, when you look at the other safety situation, Edmonds played, Evans played, Sidney Brown was playing in the second half along with Kevon Wallace. If these guys were the bona fide starters for this team, they would not be on the field. They would not. So what it tells me is that the Eagles do not have a guy that they feel comfortable at that other safety position. This is where I think we are most likely to see a trade by the Eagles and Howie Roseman. I think Howie is going to make a move for safety. I think it's going to be a lot like what they did with C.J. Gardner-Johnson last year. They got him at the trade, at the 53-man roster deadline, and then they cut Anthony Harris. So I could see that something similar happening again. Now, most likely, it's a safety, it's a player on a team that nobody's talking about, nobody's thinking about. That's the way it usually goes. But if I had my choice in the matter, I would love to see them go out and get Jeremy Chinn. I would love to see them go out and get Jeremy Chinn and bring him in. Even if they don't want to bring him in and sign him to extension and just for the year, maybe have him play the year while Sidney Brown learns and then give Sidney Brown the job next year. I'm even okay with that. But I think safety is the most likely scenario of the position the Eagles are going to bring in. I feel much better about the linebacker position than a lot of other people. I think Zach Cunningham coming in and winning that job and playing the way he did with Nakobe Dean, I feel good about our starters. Yeah, we're a little thin there, and we could definitely add some depth. But at that safety spot, you have a legitimate question at starter. Now, I'm not saying I don't like Sidney Brown. I'm not saying that I don't think he's the best safety they have, because if I keep the safeties that I have right now and don't bring in somebody, my week one starters would be Sidney Brown and Reed Blankenship. I wouldn't even go with Edmonds. Matter of fact, Edmonds I'd probably cut. Because I like Evans better than I like Edmonds. I like Brown better than I like Edmonds. But if you just base it upon what we saw at the preseason game, the final preseason game, and you look at the way Kevon Wallace is on the field, Sidney Brown is on the field, Edmonds and Evans are on the field, you really have to wonder if they feel good at that safety spot. And to me, I think that's where they're most likely to go out and make a move for, to go out and get a safety. I don't know who it'll be. Jeremy Chinn has been rumored to be on the move with Carolina, being that he's in the last year of his rookie contract. We know that the Eagles know Frank Reich. We also know that Howie likes to get guys in the last year of a rookie contract. So that's a name to watch. But the most likely scenario is that somebody were like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know he was available. Holy crap, what the hell's going on? That's the most likely scenario for the Eagles. But I expect Howie to make at least 2 trades. And as far as players that they may get rid of, I think Derek Barnett has to be in play to get traded. And we've heard a lot of rumors about Greg Ward Jr. possibly going to a team like Tampa. Basically, my little keys are making noise over there. But basically, they might trade Greg Ward Jr. just because they don't want to have to cut him. And they want to give him an opportunity to play somewhere. So it's going to be interesting, these moves, what's going on. I do expect to see a trade for safety at some point, and I'm just waiting like everybody else. It's going to be really interesting. If they have a bunch of cuts today, I'll come back later with a recap. It's not worth doing like every time, like every hour there's a cut. I'm not going to come out every hour and keep making a video and drive and Mark Holmes you guys to the umpth degree. You don't want that. So if there are more moves today, unless something big happens, you'll see me tomorrow. If there's a bunch of moves today, I'll do a recap later tonight. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat. Remember, it is Howie Vision. We're all just living in it. Yeah, you're right. I don't buy Jerry Jones crap for 1 second. I do not believe they were going to draft Jalen Hurts. I think he's saying that now to look smart. I really do. I don't buy it. I think he's old. I think he's senile. And that's just the truth of the matter. He's only trying to justify getting Trey Lance. But really, let's be honest. He just wants to be like the Eagles. Denzel Washington out.
Oh, God. No. I want to be like the Eagles.